What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well today. Today is going to be a bit of a different one for me. This is more of, I suppose, a discussion than anything, because the last couple of days we have had 3 tracks posted to MXP mods that have been paid originally. They originally released on the MX Bike shop, and a significant amount of time has now passed, and they've been released on the store. And the reason I want to talk about this is just to kind of share my opinion on it a little bit, because I am an avid believer of you're never gonna, oh, that's not a good start, is it? If you're never ever gonna please everyone. It's always going to be the case. There's always going to be one person left unhappy. But the reason that I'm talking about this, usually I wouldn't really bother, but it seems like when the whole paid track thing came about, there was a lot of people that were really hesitant about it. Like, I would say maybe 50-50 split, that severe. People obviously don't want to pay for content. I believe that it's a good way to support track creators, keep them motivated as well, and just give something back for a lot of time, things that have taken months and months and months to complete. I am still of that opinion. I really don't mind spending money on tracks, especially ones of such high quality that we do get. And I really don't have a good suspension on this Fantic going through these whoops. I might have to go over to the sand track real quick. Now, I'm playing on TC, Typical Canadians track right now, which is called The Warehouse. I have done, I think, more than one video on it in the past. It's a track that has arena cross on it. It's got a sand track, and it's got a little bit of an enduro loop as well, and even like a very small freeride section out the back. A couple of jumps you can hop on and off of. Now, this track, when it released, was 69 cents. He knows it was a meme number. It's his very first track, I believe. So again, people were concerned with it being on the shop for 69 cents. I have no issue paying that. You know, that is less than a can of Monster Energy. I mean, you can get like 3 or 4 Monster Energies for the sake of that, at least where I'm from. Don't know about other places in the world. So he's released this track for free as of today. It popped up on MXB mods yesterday, for whenever you're watching this. And the first comment I see, which to be fair, it did have a few downvotes, which I am a fan of, was someone saying, like, feeling really hard done by that I bought the track and now it's released for free, etc. And I can see where they're coming from. However, I have 2 opinions on this. First one is, you can't really first complain that tracks are paid for and then complain when they also become free. Second one being is, if we do a little bit of maths. So this track came out on the 27th of October. It is currently the 2nd of April for me. So if we do some quick maths, let's say it's 150 days. It's a little bit more than that, I know. So if you take your 69 cents and you take your 150 days, you have paid the equivalent of ½ a cent per day, if you bought it on release date, that is, which I think a lot of people do. They buy it within the first week of it being up on the store. You have paid the equivalent of, I think, 0.46 cents per day for the privilege of having this track early. Which, I don't want to sound like Mr. Moneybags here. It's not a lot of money. I'm sure a bunch of you can agree with that. I'm sure I'm not alone in that opinion. I can understand why someone might be frustrated. Maybe you've bought it a week ago, for example, but that's one of them risks that you have to take when it comes to things like this. And at the end of the day, although you have paid for the privilege of having a track, it also isn't your property as well. It is also the track creator's property to do with what they wish. So I've got no issue with them being released. I did see one of the main complaints that I still see in my comments to this day, anytime I cover a track that goes on the shop, is I buy these tracks, but there's never any servers up on them, so it's such a waste of money. Well, now the track's been released for free, so more people can download it, so it's not a waste of money. So I don't, yeah, there's some things that they don't quite add up, and it does go back to what I said at the very beginning about you can't please everyone. I think it's personally a good thing. Because what I will say, I'll preface this, by the way. I think it's a good thing if there has been a substantial amount of time between the initial release and when it's released for free. If it's only a month, for example, I feel like, yeah, okay, I can understand people feeling quite hard done by. But if it's like this track's case, and Typical Canadians waited 5 months, a little over 5 months, I see no issue with it at all. I would be very interested to know what you guys think of this. I mean, the tracks that I've been seeing for free, so it's this one that we're on right now. It is Coastal MX, made by Higo, which is another banger of a track, one that I don't think I've ever seen on a public server at all, which is a real shame. I really, really do enjoy that track. Which it wouldn't surprise me if it's one of them fan favourites that you see all the time now that it's free. It's just the fact that it was paid for originally that a lot of people kind of shy away from it on. And then finally it was, I think it was the 212MX or 212 Compound, something along those lines, by Eric's. And I think a lot of time it's because these track creators, they feel like their tracks have been out long enough. They're probably maybe not really getting any downloads on it anymore on the shop because it's been out that long, and the audience that would buy it originally is no longer. And they're working on something new, so just give people a tester of what their tracks are like and what they can do as a creator. They're putting it out for free for people to test, and I don't hate it. I really do think that it's a good thing for the community as well. And like, tracks of any sort are good, whether they're $1, whether they're completely free. No, I mean, my situation might be a little bit different, since a lot of the time I rely on tracks being made for this game to produce my own content. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 in the way where I would buy them regardless, because it kind of goes back into the YouTube stuff, into the content. But if there was nothing being made ever at all, I would probably have some very tough days trying to think of things or think of ways that I could make new videos and new concepts and keep them like super fresh and entertaining. So maybe I am biased. I'm very open to that idea. I mean, I'm sure you guys will humble me or correct me in any way possible if that is the case. But I generally am intrigued to see if that was just like a one person's one-off opinion on the fact that these have been released and they feel hard done by, or if it's more spread across the board. If you think, or if you have any ideas of how things like this could work in the future, maybe I think I saw someone say when tracks release, they have like a locked period of 6 months, and then maybe like a password releases after that for free for everybody. Whilst I think that could work, I also feel like that would hinder the creators' kind of profits quite a lot. And I hate wording it as profits because it makes it sound like they're just in it for the money. But money does motivate at the end of the day. I know that much for sure. I'm not ashamed at all in the slightest to tell you that I've had days where I've really not wanted to stream or really not wanted to show up to a certain event. But I know that if I live stream, and if I do, it adds on to whatever I get paid from YouTube at the end of the month. So money motivates. So there's no shame in admitting that. I think there's track creators out there, whilst their work is absolutely incredible, and I would pay for it every time, they're probably only still here due to the fact that they can make some money out of it. And it's just one of the things. That's life, you know. That's what you've got to accept. I think some of us, we can live in this fancy land where everything is free forever and you never have to contribute or pay for anything, but that's not the case. If you are one of them people, you can quite easily and quite happily play this game without spending a penny after buying whatever the game costs nowadays. I was that way. You know, I spent a good 5 years or so on MX Simulator, where the majority of the things that I wanted to do, or like gears I use, bike models I had, I was on parts of teams, so the team owner would pay for those models because they can get quite expensive. I mean, people on Sim, I'm not going to leak any names or anything like that. I do have inside information on these things, thankfully, because of who I know. But there's people out there spending hundreds up to thousands of dollars on bike models and skins and gear, all of that stuff. So there's a market for it, for sure. But on Sim in my 5 years, I think the only things I ever paid for were a few seasons worth of RF racing. You know, sometimes I even had that paid for by people on my team. So, I mean, I've been very, very fortunate, a very, very lucky person. But there are ways of going about it if you... Maybe you're younger. Maybe you can't keep asking your parents for money all the time to add onto the shop. That's fine. Just wait the 5 or 6 months, whatever it is that these track creators want, and then see if their track's released for free. If you get to the year mark, maybe, and you see, oh god, I've wanted this track for a year now. Let's say it's the Hurren compound, for example. You know, it's this massive compound. It's got like 5+ tracks on it. It looks great. I've seen it on YouTube a bunch of times. It's been a year. Let me just bite the bullet. It was $4 originally. Now it's $1. Maybe it's never going to release for free. Let me just buy it and give it a go and support someone who spent like a good year or so working on it. I mean, that's my mentality on these things. I think I'm quite happy to pay for these tracks when they release, given how small of an amount they are. I am also of the opinion of the track creators should be free to do whatever they want with their own property that they have spent months and months making, and I fully back them. I see no issue with what Higo, Eric's, and Typical Canadian have done here. I think it only betters the community. We might finally see some other servers now on different tracks, because I'll tell you what, after all of my Papiti grinding that I was doing over the last week or so, I have burnt myself out. I can't stand to look at Paletta or Forest anymore. I really want to play some different things, and I always seem to get shit every time I do a public lobby stream with you guys. Sometimes I want to play the tracks with groups of people that I've paid for and spent money on and want to play with more than just myself. And I always see people in the chat like, oh, why are you doing paid tracks? That's not fair, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, bruh, it's my stream. Please let me do what I want and let me play the tracks that I've paid for and I want to play. So now it kind of stops those arguments a little bit more. You know, we can get people downloading these tracks for free, get lobbies going on tracks that people have never played before, and I just think it's a positive for the game overall. I don't understand how people have spun this into a negative narrative. I imagine if I put myself in those track creators' shoes, oh well, I can't bloody win. You know, I released a track for money, which everyone hated. I made it free after 5-6 months, which everyone hated. What am I meant to do? Well, let me just stop making tracks altogether, and we'll watch the game slowly fall to death, because mods keep this game alive, whether you like it or not. I'm sure that if this game was just stock Piboso stuff, then you will all be very, very bored humans after probably a couple of months at the max. I could not imagine trying to ride Piboso only bikes on stock tracks for as long as I have done. I've got about 200? That's a lot less. I've got about 2,050 hours in this game now at this point, and I honestly probably would have been done after about 250, maybe even more than that. Well, maybe less than that, if that was the case. So a little bit of a ranty style of video. I feel like I've probably just said the same thing on repeat in 5 different ways for the last 10 minutes, but I hope I've got my views and opinions across. And I really would like to see everyone else's opinions in the comments on this one, to see if maybe I am just a bit biased due to my position on having to make content on this game in general. If you are going to leave some sort of comment down below, can we please try and be adults about it? There's no need to go in there with swear words or name calling or this, that and the other. Just try and be civilized, have a open discussion, explain your thoughts out clearly and precisely. Maybe throw some suggestions in there on ways that we could get a system built in the future if things like this to happen, or like if track creators upload a track, if they ever have visions of releasing it for free along the line, whether it's 6 months, just to maybe put a note on the shop as well so people know what to expect. But that is going to do it for me. There's nothing massively exciting in this video. I feel like this is just the best way of me getting my thoughts across, rather than writing a comment or a YouTube update, like status post every now and then. I hope you've enjoyed, as always. If you've made it this far, the Fantic is an OEM supporter model swap. You have to donate to the OEM team, and they're all on the OEM website as well if you're interested. I also now have my own custom helmet, which I will zoom in on at a later date, but it's all custom made by Mr. Lethal21. I'm very happy with it. It's going to be like my signature helmet design now, and I'm going to love you and leave you. Please do drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I really appreciate it. Have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you guys are up to, and I'll catch you in tomorrow's video. Peace.